And welcome to Forum 360 with its global outlook and a local view of a topic. And today we're talking about competitive eating. And competitive eating is speed eating. And today we have our guest, Dave Okarma, and he is a Northeast Ohio native. And I'm your host, Bill Stephen Souse. So, Dave Okarma, welcome to Forum 360 today.
Thank you, Bill. And it's CoonDog Okarma.
CoonDog is his name that you've acquired over the years. How did you get started in speed eating or competitive eating here?
I got started in the 6th grade. We used to have a hot dog day.
Wow.
For nickel hot dogs. And I'd bring
we have
$1.
Hot dogs here.
Huh? Oh,
we have our prop
hot
here
dogs,
today.
yeah. Our sponsor, Nathan's. Here.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, and I could plow through $1 worth of hot dogs,
really?
Like in the 6th grade. And then one time we were like in high school, and they were having a local eating contest at Church's Chicken right there on Portage Trail in the Falls, and they were looking for contestants. And the guy says, "Hey, you got to go down there and get in that." And I did, and I won. From there, I went on to a show called Big Chuck and Little John. Well, Big Chuck and Houlihan, actually, it was that long ago. That was 50 years ago.
WJW at the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we called Big Chuck, went up there, and no one had ever beaten the champion, Mushmouth Mariano Pachetti, who's a Cleveland legend.
Right, Mushmouth Pachetti.
You remember, you're that age. And I did.
Wow. So that started you
it
out.
got me great, yeah, and that was a big deal in my high school because that was probably the only thing on Friday nights.
So that was the local view, but then you ended up going all around the world doing competitive eating. And
well, I had a long retirement after that. Okay. I actually broke a couple world records in my senior year of high school. I broke that world egg eating record in Guinness Book of Records, and I think I had donuts too at that time.
The donut eating contest?
No, they had the Guinness Book of Records, and I broke both of them.
So that's what made Dave Okarma. And then how did you get the CoonDog label?
Like when I was eating in a contest, somebody goes, "Hey, that kid eats faster than a regular CoonDog," and yeah, so that's what it stuck. It went good with the name. Yeah.
All right, and I brought some hot dogs to show you some of the things. It's the Nathan hot dogs.
Okay,
now, this
so
is like
you're asking me what happened.
This is like the Super Bowl every 4th of July in New York at Coney Island.
Yeah, right.
And so tell us a little bit about how you got into what they call major league eating.
The major league eating, yeah. Well, I was going through a period of my life. My kids were in high school. My wife was going to nursing school, and I was working as a painting contractor, and I felt like everybody's life was moving but mine, okay?
Right.
And I was standing in Acme, and I was reading the National Enquirer, and they had an article like America's search for the new
competitive eater.
Yeah, because the Japanese had won the Nathan's contest. I'd never heard of it. So
right.
I was thinking like, hey, went home, got online, looked it up, and I said, hey, I have a pedigree. I'm a pedigreed eater. And they said, well, you have to qualify. So you had to win. They had like 16 contests.
So you win
in
a region.
Yes,
you won your region. So here in Northern Ohio.
Then you go to the big one. And,
okay.
Yeah. So I had to win one of those.
So every year they would have the regional
right.
qualification.
This was 2001. Yeah. And then the closest one was in Middletown, New York, which was like 6 hours away. So told the wife what I was going to do. I did a practice run, and I think the record was like 25.
Right.
And I did 20, and I thought, I think I could break the world record. Okay.
Wow. So you're going against the big boys.
The big boys. So we packed up, drove the kids to Middletown, New York, and then all of a sudden I see these hot dogs, which are like, they look like they're like twice as big as the regular. I'm thinking, I don't think I can eat 5 of those,
Right, plus the buns.
And the buns, yeah. I was kind of psyched out by that. But I ended up winning. I ended up winning, qualifying for the big one.
So then
and that's on the 4th of July.
Nathan and because ultimately Nathan sponsored the final event.
Yeah,
at
they
Coney
sponsored
Island.
the whole thing.
And the whole thing.
Right. So if you win one of their regionals, you get 150 pounds of hot dogs, I think. What, some ridiculous amount, and I didn't want on. They just paid me, and then I got a trip to New York City, and
that becomes a major event because it's on ESPN, which is the major sports television network right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this was like right at the very beginning. I think they were just getting. Well, that year, that contest was a big surprise to everybody, and I think. That's the year Kobayashi.
Okay, so you had a
reinvented competitive eating, and that was the beginning of Major League Eating.
And then
that was the beginning of it all.
One of the other contestants, Joey Chestnut,
right,
who you competed against also.
No, I really haven't. No,
you were out of that particular event, but you recall going. With Kobayashi. Joey
came in. I was in Nathan's. Well, let's tell the story of Kobayashi. You want to? Okay, but he. Nobody knew who he was. They have like a big meeting outside downtown New York where you meet the mayor. It was Giuliani at the time, and the Japanese were the champions. Right. Okay, and we came in, and he's just a little guy. Nobody knew who he was. The other guy, Arai, the rabbit, he was there too, but nobody knew who Kobe wasn't. Nobody knew who I was. So he was kind of hanging out with me and my kid,
right,
my 15-year-old, and we had a good time. It was a whole fun trip. But that day at Coney Island, we were up there on the stage, and all of a sudden, like, I'm thinking I'm gonna win, you know.
Right.
I got 17 down at 5 minutes, and then they're going like, the little Japanese kid has just finished his 27th hot dog, and I'm not going. I'm like. I can't say what I thought, but anyways, my son's going like this.
Keep going.
I look down, and then they put the sign up 33. Well, the old record was 35.
Wow.
And I'm thinking like, there's no way. And I just sat and watched, and he ate 50 that day, so he doubled the world record.
Wow. So. And then later, Joey Chestnut started competing.
Joey came in, I think, like year 3, and by that time. I was done with the MLE. I'd started a competing league against them.
So it'd be like
we were doing a hamburger contest at Coney Island, right across.
Right, I see.
Right down at, you know.
So it'd be like in professional basketball, the NBA, but they also had the ABA competing.
Right, yeah, exactly what it was. Right, yeah.
You know, decades ago, and then it all merged back.
Right, and I mean, like, but I still had many friends competing. You know, so
both?
I was still, yeah, I wasn't rating their league yet.
And then you brought
But Joey came in, and I think that first year he ate like, he qualified with 19, but he ate 30. So we were all, you know, hot dog belongs to America.
Right.
We wanted it back home.
Right,
okay.
back in New York.
Coney Island.
So
like.
Keep it.
And he did get it back. He got it back a couple of years, and then Kobayashi left too because he had the contract problems. But I mean, like I still.
And there were some.
I still think Kobayashi the greatest competitive eater of all time.
And Dave, there were some women competitive eaters. They had the women's.
Yeah, there's Sonia Thomas and
some of the other ones.
Yeah, Sonia was
and they
probably
started,
the best for like
they started
the
doing
last
so it
12
became
years.
more universal to, you know, both male and female, and it started getting bigger.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't watch it anymore. I find it boring unless I'm in it.
Well, let me tell you.
I mean, it's like.
Let me ask you this.
I really do. I don't.
What are the pros and cons now, health-wise? The gastroenterology specialists probably question some of the activities that professional competitive eaters do. How does it affect? How did it affect your health?
Well, it didn't have any effect on me. I mean, I was like, I have a specific way of training, and right. I don't train all the time. I would train maybe 2 weeks before a contest,
right?
And I would stretch my stomach out with water and pineapple, which is really easy.
And that's what they say to do. I've read that.
And it actually works, you know. But I was always more of a speed eater. Like I'm like, if you give me like a 3-pound hamburger,
right, or
a pizza. I'm fast. I'm really fast. And like in Japan, it's called ogui.
Really?
In speed eating, it's called haya ogui, which means speed eating. So
what were
that was more my forte.
Were you going to different countries at that time? visiting, using your passport to go to another country at the time when you were first starting?
I think my first trip to Japan was 2004.
Wow.
But they were doing a book on competitive eating. I went with the writer because I knew everybody, you know, I knew everybody. And I was friends with Kobayashi, and you wanted an interview with Kobayashi. And that was a trip unto itself.
And they got to see an American do his thing.
Yeah, and I kind of they were the best, and I wanted to see what they were doing that we weren't doing, you know.
And you brought it home.
They're good eaters.
You brought it home.
Great.
You did some things in the Akron area, Cleveland area, Akron area especially. A few years ago, we talked about the hamburger.
The hamburger
and we
festival,
had John Menchus on, and he kept talking about you have to have CoonDog or Karma on to talk about competitive hamburger eating.
Okay.
And how you kind of brought that to the Akron area.
Yeah, I kind of did. I was doing the National Wing Festival in Buffalo.
Okay, the chicken wings.
The chicken wings, right, yeah. And I did that a couple years, and I competed in that. And I thought, well, isn't it a shame that we don't have anything like this in Ohio, you know?
Yeah, bring it back home.
And then when I was coming back, I drove by Hamburg, and I thought, well, I always kind of knew the story of the Menchus. I thought they created the hamburger.
Right. We did a program on that, Forum 360.
Okay, but anyways, I'm thinking like, oh, so I came home. I thought, I researched it, and I thought, oh my God, not only was the hamburger invented by two people from Ohio, I think the Menchus were from Canton, right?
Yes, they were from that
Akron, Canton area.
Yeah.
And they created the ice cream cone, too.
Right. And it was Hamburg, New York. Where
and it was Hamburg, New York.
They had the largest county fair and the largest festival.
And I thought, this is great, you know, so I researched it. And then White House.
Out of Columbus area.
Yeah. And Wendy's.
Right. All great
And if
hamburgers.
you take the Wendy's square hamburger and you take a couple strategic bites out of it, it looks like the state of Ohio.
Exactly.
But then I got a petition going. A local politician, Kevin Coughlin, sponsored it. We were trying to get the hamburger as the state food.
Wow.
Drew Cerza from Buffalo got involved, and the city got involved. And I think the Hamburger Festival was from like 2006 till they did all the renovations. I don't know, you know, they had to cut down that. I don't know if they're bringing it back or not, but it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun doing that, yeah, and raised money for the hospital too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're talking to Dave Okarma on Forum 360. I'm your host, Bill Steven Stouse, and Dave Okarma goes by CoonDog Okarma. He is a world competitive eater. And he also got very involved in other matters. And we're going to talk about your getting involved with overseas competition. There was an opportunity for you to go to England.
Oh, yeah.
And with the National Geographic Network, UK, United Kingdom's
right.
Sky TV. So tell us a little bit about that and how you were selected to be one of the competitors to help this program get started.
Well, I mean, like, I got contacted by one of my friends, and they said they were looking to do a show in
England.
In England, right? Yeah, and I said, I don't know if I was interested in that because I'd had experience with TV before, and I was kind of disappointed with it. But anyways, I did my kids. I had them do an audition tape, and I sent it to them. They go, "We want this guy," and then the other two guys that they were after. They were only going to take two of us. They said, watch CoonDogs and do CoonDog. And then, so I got picked to go over there, and was over there for like 5 days and shot a pilot, which was fun.
And the concept was you were going to go
all around the world,
and you were going to do competitive eating in Australia, in Asia, in Europe, America, and so forth. South America.
Right. And we shot a really, really funny.
So what competitive eating can do for you, kind of thing, and to see.
Well,
how
I think it was just like a travel show, you know, that was kind of supposed to be a little comedic.
And then there was the Man versus Food program,
right,
which ended up on many cable channels and food channels and so forth. Tell us about that, getting involved in the Man versus Food television program.
Well, I mean, listen.
You were trying to get...
That was a lot of fun, okay? I told you about going to Japan. The guy was writing a book.
Right.
They contacted him to for information about eaters. They were looking for a big eater
Right.
to do a TV show. He recommended to me. They called me. I went and did an audition. There was like 100 people there, and then they called 3 of us back to do an audition. And I thought I had a good audition, but Adam was a little better. I guess.
Adam Richmond, yes.
But anyways, that was the big disappointment I was talking about. But I thought, darn, twice I came really close to getting that brass ring, you know.
And that's where they would go.
And I'm so old. You know?
Well,
like,
you would
wasn't
go
like
to,
I was a young guy.
You'd have to go to different restaurants, and they'd have their specialty, and you'd have to eat it within a time frame.
Oh yeah.
That's the whole concept.
Right. Yeah.
So Speed Eater is a good thing to be involved in that because you know how to develop your the eating habits.
Usually those challenges are pretty hard to do.
Now,
almost impossible, but you have like a couple like freaks of nature that can do it. Yeah.
Now, Forum 360 is a PBS related here in PBS Western Reserve in Northeast Ohio, but you also did some PBS programming talking about the book and talking about your involvement on PBS. So you've got some television experience over the years. It all started at Channel 8.
With Big Chuck and Little Houlihan. Everybody forgets Houlihan. And then hey, listen, I came back and I think when I was really like going strong and I was a big presence in Akron in the newspapers and stuff. I was in an airport and I ran into Big Chuck's son, and he's going, "Dad's been looking for you." And then I ended up doing his show, winning his pizza fight, because he was doing the pizza fight again.
Right, exactly.
And I did that from like 2000 till 5 till he retired. I think, when did he retire? 2010?
Yes.
Yeah, and had a ball. It was just had a ball. I think I had more fun being reunited with him because he was just such a cool guy.
Now,
a fun guy.
Those guys. As a professional competitive eater, you have Nathan's and you have other hot dog companies and bun companies and mustard. They called it, when you won, I believe they called it the mustard belt.
Oh yeah, the mustard belt, yeah.
Yeah, so if you would win, or Kobayashi would win, or now we'd have Chestnut winning sometimes. All of these things eventually end up there, 4th of July, watch it on ESPN, I suppose, still, and in Coney Island in New York. How do you make money? And you talk about being a professional competitive eater. What are some of the ways that these competitive eaters make money when they get into the top 20 or 30?
Oh, I don't think there's very many big contests anymore other than Nathan's. Mm-hmm. I think what happened is YouTube videos. They do challenges. The top eaters are kind of independent. And they do challenges and they videotape them and they get big followings and YouTube pays them.
I see.
So,
okay, so there's still a lot of media involvement.
I mean, you know how Jake Logan is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jake, or is that his name? You know, the guy just fought Tyson.
Yes.
I mean, he's a local guy. He's a multi-millionaire. They get hits. They get advertising.
So in other words,
so there's there's a lot of them that are making money with their YouTube videos. Right. You know.
Competitive eating starts small, starts the local level, and then goes global. So my next concern is keeping in shape.
Yeah.
What do you do to keep in shape for this? Because some say that if you're a little too portly, you're not as good as the thin
the belt of fat theory.
The belt of fat theory, they call it, which is a
I haven't heard that
scientific theory that
the weight keeps your stomach from expanding.
Yes, that's correct.
Well, I'll tell you, we went and did a TV show in Japan, I think it was 2008, and it was a team event. It was my group of eaters versus the Japanese, and half their team was real tiny,
diminutive,
little women.
Right.
That could, and they were long contests, that could eat like 14 to 20 pounds of food, which is, I mean, like, it's bizarre to me.
Right, exactly.
And smile as they're doing it. They're not like leaning down and dying. And it was like, that was interesting.
Now,
I don't know how, Bill. I would like to take one of those people and cut them open and see what happens when you eat like 20 pounds of food.
Well,
but I don't think I could get away with that.
Some doctors frown upon it, and some people have said that people have choked. There have been
Oh,
some
yeah.
people that have,
Yeah.
unfortunately, just like in NFL football or NBA basketball, you can have severe injuries, sometimes leading to death. So that's another, the pros and the cons. The pros are it's a fun event, and people promote good eating, but the negative would be if there was a
Oh yeah, we'd have our yeah, that was always something I have to worry about. We'd always have like a nurse, a fire person. You have to sign a waiver. EMTs. Yeah, that was part of it.
Right.
Because it's a ridiculous carnival sport, but it's got its fans, man.
Right.
It obviously has its fans.
Right, and you can watch on YouTube. You can.
And
watch
an average guy, who's an average dope like me, for most of the, can be a star for a moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
Instead of being like a garbage trash man, you're the world's hot dog eating champion.
Right, you go from very
Obscure,
obscure person to a
and you get to do to go into doing great shows with Bill Souse.
And we enjoy having you here. Dave O'Carmine, I'm still questioning if you're a competitive eater, do you stay in touch with each other? Even in the NBA, you know, you see LeBron James talking to one of the,
everybody.
One of the other great stars, and they in NBA, Giannis Antetokounmpo or somebody that's as competitive, and they start, meeting at different events. So did you keep a close? At the time you were competing.
Oh yeah, at the time I was competing. Oh my gosh, yeah, I had a ball with those
close
guys.
relationship.
A lot of them, yeah. It's not so much now. That was like 24 years ago. Now, like my partner Arnie Chowhound Chapman, the world pickle champion, and I are still really good friends. A couple others, but I kind of had to get away from it because people ask me, "Do you think it's a sport?" And I said, "Well, it's a sport, and I think a mental illness."
Right.
And I thought, I am supposed to be a grown-up. You're supposed to be a grown-up. And I wanted to be a grown-up.
Because there were some times when, you watch on TV and see how fast they're consuming these things.
Yeah.
And they mix it with water. And what is the typical, when you're at the big event, you're probably nervous.
Yeah.
You're in front at Coney Island in front of the TV cameras and hundreds of people.
Right.
You've met the mayor of New York and New Jersey and all these places. You're there. So my next question would be, what is the routine when you get on stage? What, like a pregame versus the actual event? What would you do?
What would I do?
To get started before an event?
I mean, it all depends on the food, It's like when
assuming hot dogs.
No, well, hot dogs, I was always a water guy. I'd break the thing down with water, okay?
So as long as you consume the whole thing.
Right. Like, okay, in the Nathan's contest, if you eat the hot dog but don't eat the bun, you don't get credit for it.
Right. It has to be total.
Total, right, yeah.
And then, was it Kobayashi or Joey Chestnut would cut it in half?
Everybody does that. They dunk it. And
they cut it in half, I think Kobayashi.
Well, it's Kobayashi does. Joey just kind of crams it down.
And some people say they have the chipmunk effect where they'll hold some of it in their...
Well, no, listen. I'm going to give you the...
In their mouth.
We created a league that competed with them. We had a whole different set of rules. We had shorter contests because we didn't want people choking. Mm-hmm. Okay? We went by picnic style rules, and that meant no dipping, dunking, or desecrating. It means you couldn't pour water on it. You had to eat it the way God created the hot dog to be eaten, on a bun.
Right.
Okay? Not dipping it in water. Nobody goes to a barbecue and dips their hot dog in the water.
So you want to make it more realistic.
Yeah, and it really takes away that advantage. It slows people down too, which I thought was good from a safety point of view. Right. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you were just talking about it. I had a liability thing,
Exactly.
So, and it was our hook. It was what differentiated you from the Major League Eating. We were called All Pro Eating.
All Pro Eating was the.
And we also like something we called debris food. Like ribs were weighed before and afterwards, okay?
Right.
You just didn't, because people would eat a piece of corn, take one bite out and throw it down and say, I ate 50 pieces of corn.
Right. But you have to actually consume everything.
We weighed it before and afterwards, So we had a lot of good innovative things. If you did chipmunking, okay, you had exactly a minute to chew it and swallow it, or you were deducted. Okay, you couldn't just stuff a lot of stuff in, because we had problems with people like, well, I ate 60 of them, but they were still chewing like 10 minutes after the contest is over. Okay.
Well, David.
And then the reversal of fortune. Okay. You could imagine what the reversal of fortune is, right?
We don't want
Do I
any
have to go there?
tragedies.
Okay.
We don't want any tragedies or any problems.
Okay.
Thank you, David Okarma, CoonDog Okarma, for being a part of
Bill
Forum
South.
360.
Watch the show.
And we enjoyed you being with us today.
Great guy. I enjoyed being with you too, Bill. You're a great guy.
Good eating, folks.
My old buddy.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.